Good evening, families and students. Welcome to our first virtual practice at home. Today we are going to have a fun little mini reading lesson to practice navigating Canvas and this lesson and uploading an assignment. So today we're going to read about fall stories. Let's go ahead and read our objective just as we do at school. Say, I can share one thing I learned from the book. Great job. This week we are practicing finding the main idea and key details of a nonfiction story. Today we're going to read this story called Leaves Fall Down, learning about autumn leaves. We've been using this little diagram to help us. When we put out our thumb, we say this book was about, and then we can share 3 key details by saying, I learned, I learned, I learned. Good readers use their watching eyes to look at the pictures, their listening ears to read the words and listen to the words, and their thinking brain to identify the key details or things they learned. So let's review. Point to your watching eyes. As we read today's story, be sure to use your eyes to look at the pictures to help you identify something you learned. Point to your listening ears. Good job. Be sure to listen to the words as the author or the reader reads to us to understand something that you learned. And then point to your thinking brain. Great. After you watch and look at the pictures, listen to the words, you have to use your thinking brain to identify something you have learned. Today we'll be using this KWL chart to organize our thinking. The K stands for what you know. So today we're learning about leaves falling down from the tree. So we'll be thinking about what we know already. The W stands for what do we wonder? What are our questions that we have about leaves falling? And this L stands for what we've learned. So at the end of the story, we'll be identifying different things we've learned from this story. Let's start with the K, what you know. Point to your thinking brain. Think, what do you know about leaves falling off the tree? When you have an idea, flash your light bulb so I can see you have an idea to share. I'll go first. I know that leaves fall during the season of autumn, the season we're in right now. I can turn and tell my partner I don't have anyone at home, so instead I have a stuffed animal to talk to. I'm going to tell my stuffed animal what I know. I know leaves fall during the autumn season. Boys and girls, at home, turn and tell someone at home or a stuffed animal what you know about leaves falling. Great job! Let's move on. Now we're ready for the W, what you wonder. Point to your thinking brain. What do you wonder about leaves falling down? When you're ready, turn towards someone at home or your stuffed animal. Look them in the eye and tell them what you wonder. What do you want to know about leaves falling down? Great job! Let's move on. Again, as we listen to the story, be sure to look at the pictures, listen to the words, and think about what you're learning. We are going to listen to the story on YouTube. Follow along so that you can learn something.
Cooler now. Winter will be here soon, but first the trees put on a colorful show. Hey, let's go for a walk. Cool. Let's check out the leaves. All summer long, leaves soak up sunlight. They are green under. Some leaves are still holding on to the branches. This one's still green. The green color comes from chlorophyll. Leaves need sunlight and chlorophyll to make food for the trees. Hey, leaves work hard all summer long. But why do trees lose their leaves? Well, when fall comes, there is less sunlight. Without as much sunlight, the leaves can't make food. It gets dark early in the evening now. It's dark at dinner time. The chlorophyll in the leaves disappears. The leaves lose their green color. This one's yellow. It's a birch tree leaf. Bright colors have been hiding under the green. The yellow color was in these leaves all along. But we couldn't see it. The leaves show their colors, then they dry up. Finally, the leaves fall from the trees. I get it. Leaves fall during fall, right? That's right. We also call this time of year autumn. With their leaves gone, the tree's branches are ready for winter. Over time, the fallen leaves will mix with the soil. The leaves make the soil rich for the trees. Do we have to go home? It's getting late, and tomorrow we need to check out our own leaves. People often rake leaves to keep their yards tidy. Almost done. Some people put leaves into a compost bin. In spring, they mix the compost with soil to help plants grow. We put our leaves right on our garden if we rake some. We don't really have a lot to rake, but if we do, we usually put them right on our garden. That way they're there for next year to be plowed under. But before getting rid of all the leaves, people make piles. Then comes the best part of all. This is the biggest leaf pile ever. Jumping in the leaves, nothing like it, huh? And then back in the back of this book, they have some ideas for window art where you can make a picture using leaves and putting them between contact paper. We used to do that, and we used to get some of that waxed paper, and we'd put the leaves on it, and then we'd shave some crayons, like we'd just sharpen them, and we'd put the shavings all over them, and then we'd iron it together. Maybe I should show you that. Maybe I will.
All right, we're going to watch another short video to understand why leaves change colors in the fall. Again, use your watching eyes and your listening ears to identify something you learn.
What's it like outside this time of year where you live? In our part of the world, the days are getting shorter and the weather's getting cooler. And some of the leaves on the trees are starting to change colors. This might be happening where you live too, or it might be happening pretty soon. That's because we're heading into one of the most colorful times of the year, autumn. Nothing says autumn or fall like lots of brightly colored leaves to rake and jump into, or just to pick up and admire. Now, some trees like pine trees, spruces, and firs stay green all autumn and winter. But for many of the trees that have leaves instead of pointy needles, this time of year means their leaves will turn different shades of red, orange, and yellow, and eventually drop to the ground. Have you ever wondered why this happens? To find out, let's take a close look at a green leaf. Leaves on most plants and trees are green because of a colorful chemical inside them called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is bright green, but it does more than just look pretty. It has a special job because it's able to capture the energy that's in sunlight. Leaves use this light energy to make sugars, which the tree can then use for its own energy. So chlorophyll is what plants use to make their own food from sunlight. But chlorophyll isn't the only thing in tree leaves that gives them color. Leaves have lots of other colorful chemicals called pigments inside them that are red, yellow, orange, and even purple. If you've eaten carrots, cabbage, or cherries, then you've not only seen these pigments, you've had them for lunch. All of these colorful pigments have special jobs, but Only chlorophyll helps a plant make the sugar that it needs to live. And since chlorophyll's job is so important, there's way more of it in green leaves than any of the other pigments. In fact, there's so much chlorophyll that its green color covers up all of the other colors. So through spring and summer, we don't see the red, yellow, and orange pigments in the leaves. We just see the green chlorophyll. But as the summer starts to turn into fall and the days get shorter, less and less sunlight hits the tree's leaves, so the tree starts to make less and less chlorophyll. Then the leaves become less green, and we're able to see more of the other colors that were there all along. And when that starts to happen, you might want to take the time to enjoy these pretty leaves while you can, because not long after they turn color, they begin to fall. They fall because without their chlorophyll to help them make energy, the leaves don't really have a job to do. So as winter approaches, the energy that the leaves have made flows into the tree and gets stashed away. Then, when the time is just right, they break off from the branches and fall to the ground. The tree can then live through the winter using the energy that it's saved up until the days start to get longer and warmer. Then it grows new leaves to capture the sunlight, and the cycle starts all over again. So when you start to see yellow, orange, and red leaves showing up where you live, remember, those colors were there all along. Autumn is just their time to shine. Thanks for joining.
Wow, we've learned a lot about leaves and why they change and fall down onto the ground. I want you to listen to something I learned from this story. I'm going to put my finger up. You do it with me. I learned that leaves fall off of the trees in the autumn, and they fall into the soil on the ground. So I'm going to show you a picture that shows what I just said I learned. Looky here. I drew the leaves that had changed color falling off of the tree and onto the ground. I learned that from our story. Put up your next finger. Say, I learned. Think about something else you've learned from this story. I learned that the sun feeds the leaves, and that's what makes it green during most of the year. So I drew a picture to match what I learned. Here it is. The sun is the reason that the leaf is green. And then when the sun starts to go away and not be out as much, the leaves will turn to the red and orange color. All right, now we're going to do a sort. Okay, now that you have heard me tell you some things I learned from this story, we're going to practice sorting things that we learned from the story and things that we did not learn from the story. Because sometimes we get tricked and we say things that we learned that weren't in the story at all. Do you see my thumbs up right here? Do you see the thumbs down right here? Well, this means it was in the story. This thumbs down means it wasn't something I learned from this story. I'll do the first one, and then for your assignment tonight, you're going to sort the last 3 pictures by yourself, thinking, did I learn this in the story? Or no, this was not in the story. Let's look at our 4 picture choices. Did we learn about an owl that lives in a tree? Did you learn about kids jumping in a leaf pile? Did you learn about children playing at the park? Did you learn about raking leaves in the fall after they fall off the tree? Turn on your thinking brains. When you have ideas, flash your thinking light bulb. I'm going to do the first one. I'm going to need to use 2 hands to move the picture. This is an owl living in a tree. I'm thinking, did I learn about owls living in a tree from today's story? I don't remember learning about owls living in a tree, so I'm going to move this to the thumbs down side, because that was not in the story. All right, it will be your job to finish the last 3 pictures. You're going to sort. Was this picture something I learned from the story? Yes or no? When you're all done, I want you to think, what could you tell a little brother or sister or someone at home to help them remember a detail from this book? Share one thing you learned with someone at home, starting with I learned. I hope this lesson went well for you, boys and girls. If your family needs any assistance, let me know on Parent Square or email me. I can't wait to hear how it went tomorrow. Bye!